one rice grain, not one cries, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know, we gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never break. Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere, make no mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, daytime or night. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know, we gonna make it somehow. We will Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here, and we ain't moving nowhere. Make no mistake, 'cause we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time when though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right, so we ain't giving up no mountain. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one grass, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one chorus, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people. Struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river.
To another debate. In the Speaker's National Youth Debating Competition 2022. I say warm good morning to our judges, our participants, our staff, and to all of you viewing this morning. We're here today to start the second round, the quarterfinal rounds of the competition for 2022. And we are here because we have the West Bank Young Achievers, West Bank Demerara that is, coming up versus the CAS Talent Management from over this side, the eastern side of the Demerara River. CAS Talent Management defeated Anna Regina Youth Group in their debate, which was on the 12th of April, and the West Bank Young Achievers on the 19th of April defeated the Queenstown Youth Group. And these were two very keenly contested debates. So the competition is heating up as we start this first session in the quarterfinals as CAS Talent Management Youth Group takes on West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group. I know they say good things come from the East West Bank, but today all the buzz is on the West Demerara area. We have keen judges today, and these esteemed judges are Dr. Valerie Gurusamy Smith, Chief Judge. Dr. Gurusamy Smith has been an educator for over 42 years. She has been educating our people from the primary, secondary, and at the university levels. She has taught CXC English, both A and B, mathematics for over 35 years, an English lecturer at the University of Guyana for over 20 years. Dr. Gurusamy Smith is director of the Berea Royal College International. She has been in the pastoral ministry for more than 21 years. Dr. Gurusamy Smith is a two-time winner of the University of Guyana Interfaculty Debating Competition and is also the founder and coach of the course Mastering the Art of Public Speaking. Our next judge is Mrs. Melissa Dow Richardson, who is an alumni of the St. Stanislaus College, also the University of Guyana, the University of the West Indies, and the American University of Peace Studies. Also a graduate of the Caribbean Leadership Program. She is a former multidiscipline national athlete at the level of table tennis and basketball. Her sport credentials include Olympic certification in sport administration, World Anti-Doping Certified Doping Control Officer, and Guyana's first and only level 2 female table tennis coach. That doesn't mean she only coaches females, just that she is the first female level 2 coach in our country. I have a competition coming up shortly and we'll need to get some lessons from her. With a professional background in journalism and education, international relations, business management, community development, and coaching, she also serves as the Assistant Director of Sport at the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. Our next judge is Mr. Rion Miller, a former youth parliamentarian and best debater of Youth Parliament 2018. He was also the senior counsel of the winning team at the Caribbean Court of Justice International Law Mooting Competition 2019. Mr. Miller holds a Bachelor's of Law degree and I think he has completed his exams for second year law school, 2 more years. And he is also a member of the Caribbean Airlines Parkside Steel Orchestra and former creative director of the Pan Jazz Concert. So cast talent management, you're under the very informed and watchful eye of Judge Rion Miller. Our teams today, the proposing team is from the Cast Talent Management Youth Group. The Cast Talent Management Youth Group brings together talented young people who are contributors to the art and entertainment industries in Guyana. Founded by Kamisi Slow, a long-standing contributor of arts and a community organizer, the organization scouts and markets talents both locally and internationally. Cast Talent Management volunteers host an annual seawall cleanup activity. The group's accomplishments include gaining the Junior Soca Monarch title in 2021 and 2022. Their first speaker will be Osei Clark, 20 years old, but from Alberton, Georgetown. The second speaker, Miss Crystal Willis, 22 years old, but from Westminster on the West Bank. So we have a defection here. And the third speaker, Mr. Javon Sampson, 27 years old, one of the neighbors of Parliament from Hatfield Street Lodge. The opposing team is West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group. This group was formed on January 14th, 2016, with an objective to promote development and empowerment among our youth in Guyana through education, advancement, sport, and community development. The focus of the group captures mental health care, culture, and youth development. The group is broad-based and covers any district that requires its services for development. Their first speaker will be Mr. Denzel St. Hill, 21 years old, from La Parfait Harmony, West Bank, Demerara. Second speaker, Nkosi Jupiter, 21 years old, from Good Intent, West Demerara. And their third speaker, Ms. Triana Anderson, 20 years old, also from Parfait Harmony on the West Bank. The mood today is environmental education is necessary in schools. I want to say a special welcome to both groups who are physically here in the National Assembly to make their presentations, and I commend their effort to be in the location physically. I now have the honor to declare this debate open and call on the first speaker of the proposition, Mr. Osei Clark from the CAS Talent Management Youth Group. Osei, you're on.
Honorable judges, Mr. Speaker, members of the opposition, members of the proposition, everyone viewing this, everyone listening, all, I greet you by saying good morning.
Morning.
I stand before you here today as the first speaker of my team, and thus it is my responsibility to present to you our view on today's moot, which entails environmental education is necessary in schools. As the first speaker, I will be exploring our take on this moot on the surface level, whereas the technical and statistical aspects will be explored by my teammates, namely Ms. Crystal Wills, our second speaker, and Sir Javon Sampson, our third speaker. Before one can even begin to start speaking about environmental education, one must first consider what is environmental education. Now, according to the Oxford Dictionary, environmental education refers to organized efforts to teach how natural environments function, and particularly how human beings can manage behavior and ecosystems to live sustainably. A school is defined as an institution for educating children. Thus, in an institution for educating children, environmental education is necessary. This is why. Environmental education is all about learning the way we should live, and more so, how we should live cohesively with the environment. It teaches us strategies to protect the environment. It helps individuals to develop an understanding of coexisting with the physical environment and how to resolve challenging environmental issues affecting nature. While exploring environmental education, youths will learn how to Youths will learn how to use resources sustainably. With natural resources such as air, water, oil, and minerals getting depleted rapidly, environmental education can help young people understand the importance of these resources, more so in a country named Guyana. The very name Guyana raises the interest of environmental education. Being so is that the name means land of many waters. Water is a part of the environment. Isn't that so? Yes, it is. It creates awareness about preserving the environment, whether it is spreading awareness against plastic use or air pollution. Schools can conduct various beyond the classroom activities in which school children can learn in whichever way they feel comfortable. Whether you feel comfortable sitting in grass and learning, sitting in a typical classroom, or just maybe hanging out in a tree. Maybe you learn faster with a song. It's all up to you. But it creates awareness about preserving the environment. It fosters a healthy learning environment, such as academic courses that empower young people to take a lead in creating a healthier, greener, and sustainable learning environment. Everything about this country we live in is all about environmental education. Now take a look at this. Let's not just look as far as, okay, oil, gold, diamond, lumber, what's not. A simple thing as do not litter. Teaching a child don't litter can go a very far way. Now if you train a plant, a little plant coming up, and you bend it to this direction, when it grows, it will go to that direction naturally. However, when it is already grown, you cannot lean it over to the next direction. You have to therefore uproot it. Thus, we have to start from a school level. Now, the word necessary is defined as needed to be done. Now, something when it's needed to be done is needed because it can stop something catastrophic. Now, imagine a future that is clean, a future that is green, a future where our resources are managed to perfection. Such a future cannot be possible if environmental education is not accessible in schools today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Clark. And that was the first speaker of the CAS Talent Management Youth Group, Mr. O.C. Clark. For the opposition, their first speaker is Mr. Denzel St. Hill. And Mr. St. Hill is from the West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group. It's my honor to give the floor to Mr. Denzel St. Hill of the West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group to make his presentation.
Honorable judges, members of the proposition, audience. It is an honor to rise as the first speaker to speak in opposition to the moot that environmental education is necessary in schools. Mr. Chair, I would like to start my team's argument with the question, what's wrong with environmental education and a cramped curriculum? My second speaker will expound on it implementing a new discipline and its utilization for work. And my third will discuss how environmental education can be used outside of the school. Allow me the opportunity to offer the definition and redefine the moot in order to substantiate my team's argument. According to the Educalingo Dictionary, environmental education is defined as the interdisciplinary academic field which systematically focuses on human interaction with the environment in order to solve complex problems. The Webster Dictionary noted being essential, indispensable, and important constitute as being necessary. And schools, is defined as an institution or building at which young people and students under the age of 16 receives an education. The redefined moot now reads, the academic field which studies human interaction with the environment in order to solve complex problems is perceived to be essential in institutions where children under the ages of 16 are educated. Michael Reagan, the EPA director for the United States, noted that environmental issues are typically viewed as political ones, forcing policymakers to push it to the school's curriculum. Like respect for the law, environmental responsibility and its discipline are generally recognized as a collective and nonpartisan principle and should encourage all to advance its cause outside of the public education system. Ceylon, the co-founder of the California-based Conservation Society, in an interview with Yale Interview 360, stated that students should be encouraged to address environmental issues in their own areas, as well as understand how the process works and how they may act at the local, regional, and national levels, and not from the school institution. According to a 2018 survey by the University of Southern Caribbean, it noted that environmental education has failed because it has not kept up with the environmental ruin and human influences on it. It has failed to elicit action. We have this concept that environmental education should provide us the skills we need to make educated decisions, but as a society, we are not making informed judgments. Audience, you would agree with us that students must grasp the understanding in order to comprehend how environmental challenges may be handled outside of the classroom. Mr. Speaker, according to a UN Youth Roundtable survey of 2014, noted that having environmental education taught outside of the classroom will allow people to be more integrated with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which will further strengthen communities and allow people to work collaboratively on environmental issues in a timely manner. And that was supported by 63.3%. Ms. Douglas, the REO for Region 8, when asked about the moot, noted that theorizing is easy, executing is harder and expensive. She believed that a top-down approach is required for change, but she's skeptical that we will not be able to keep up with the environmental ruins because our periodic tables only allow for 8 hours per day, which forces children to seek external classes in order to comprehend what is actually being taught in the classroom. Judges, any point that will be presented in this debate by our learned preposition should be regarded as null and void because it will lack merit to substantiate their claims. Thank you.
That was Mr. Denzel St. Hill from the West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group. This morning, we are starting the second round of the Speakers National Youth Debating Competition, and the two teams are CAS Talent Management Youth Group and the West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group. I now call on the second speaker of the proposition, Ms. Crystal Willis from the CAS Talent Management Youth Group, to make her presentation. Crystal?
A pleasant good morning to you, Mr. Speaker, distinguished judges, members of the opposition, and to our audience who are watching virtually. Welcome. My name is Crystal Wills, and I am the second speaker of our group. I also stand for a clean and green environment. The mood for today's debate states environmental education is necessary in schools. As you recall from what our first speaker said, according to Merriam-Webster.com, since 1828, a school is an institution for the teaching of children. As I get into details which would highlight why my group agrees with the moot, I will first quote Ms. Campbell, California's superintendent of San Mateo County Schools, who said, and I quote, "Environmental education provides important opportunities for students to become engaged in real-world issues that transcend classroom walls. They can see the relevance of their classroom studies to the complex environmental issues confronting our planet, and they can acquire the skills they will need to become powerful advocates and creative problem solvers. To begin with, by making environmental education necessary, schools will save money because when students investigate to take action to improve the environmental performance of their school buildings and grounds, they often cut costs on electricity, water, and waste management. For example, students can conduct an audit of their school's light and energy use and then monitor that energy use on a monthly basis. Install synthetic playing field composed of cork and coconut fiber that save millions of gallons of water per year. And because of this, Mr. Speaker, environmental education is necessary in schools. Because of the basic teachings and understanding of environmental education, students would pick up familiarity with their surroundings and secure learning abilities, values, experiences, and passion, all of which will empower them to act separately and aggregately to take care of present and future environmental issues. In addition to that, environmental education can foster innovative teachers. This gives them the confidence to take students outdoors to design a more dynamic and interactive learning experience that sparks students' engagement. Most importantly, Mr. Speaker, environmental education also assists students' academic achievement, which improves test scores by providing students with engaging lessons about the natural world that can be applied to all subject areas and grades. In an article published on February 2nd, 2007, titled Improving Test Scores Through Environmental Education, Is It Possible? By Margaret Tudor, indicates that schools with integrated environmental education programs outperforms comparable schools on 2 standardized tests. I might also add that environmental education improves students' health by getting them outdoors and active. This will help to address common health issues in children today, such as obesity, ADHD, anxiety, and depression. And it is for these reasons environmental education is necessary in schools. Now, we, the members of the proposition, can understand that environmental education may be difficult for some students. Nevertheless, it should be necessary in schools in order for them to better understand the relationship between humans and the world in which we live. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, distinguished judges, opposition members, this planet Earth is utilized by each and every one of us 365 days a year. So why not learn more about it and then make it a better place? And why not give children in schools the opportunity to do the same, but not only to the earth, but to our country, their school, themselves, and others. What it all boils down to, Mr. Speaker, environmental education is necessary in schools to protect the earth and create a better world for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wills. That's the second speaker from Cash Talent Management Youth Group. The proposition in this morning's debate, environmental education is necessary in school. And now for the second speaker of the opposition, Mr. Nkosi Jupiter. And the opposition is the West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group. Nkosi, the floor is yours.
Prominent judges, members of the proposition, distinguished guests, good morning. I stand here as a second speaker to reaffirm my team's conviction. There is absolutely no need for environmental education in school. Bill Gates would have mentioned in an Alpha Male article in August 2021, 16 things that should be taught in school. And guess what? Environmental education was certainly not one of them. Mr. Speaker, the proposition may want to suggest that environmental education improves critical thinking, problem solving, and effective decision making. But let us be practical. Do you really believe that environmental education is the only way that we can achieve this in schools? Certainly not. This is already implemented within our school system internationally by the 4 core subject areas, namely mathematics, social studies, English, and science. These programs develop mental processes, ask probing questions, challenge assumptions, and exploring opposing ideas. Thinking that environmental education can only achieve the aforementioned is ludicrous. Mr. Speaker, These essential disciplines are very critical in schools. They provide comprehensive ways that will assist folks in becoming well-rounded. Have you ever heard of the qualifications to get a job, whether in the public or private sector, that needs environmental education as its core subject? I haven't. Mathematics and English are required for employment wherever we are in the globe. So tell me, why would we have to burden our pupils with environmental education that isn't really necessary for them to get a job? Is it really necessary to incorporate this in our classrooms and waste valuable time that might be spent on something far more vital? Another reason that environmental education is not required in schools is that the time must be focused on what is important. The Caribbean Examination Council would have noted some results. In 2021, the mathematics results was 40.5%. In 2020, 52%. And in 2019, 46%. While in English, the results were 70.4% in 2021, in 2020, 82%, and in 2019, 72%. Even though the performance for English might seem far better, there is still much more that can be done. So incorporating environmental education into our schools will not allow this to be so. Mr. Speaker, my team appreciates the values of environmental education, but it is not necessary in schools. The proposition should support our team's case and stop dilly-dallying with irrelevant arguments. The practical method is preferable to comprehend that the school is not the primary route for students to learn about environmental education. Honorable judges, my team and also the proposition would have learned about environmental education outside of the school system to prepare for this very debate. Wouldn't it be hypocritical to force this into our school system while we can learn efficiently outside of school? Please allow my words to echo within your mind and think for a few moments the real reason our school system is failing. I have made my case. Thank you.
And thank you, Nkosi. And now for the third and final speaker from the proposition. And that speaker is Mr. Javan Sampson from the CAS Talent Management Youth Group. And Javan is now in position. So, Javan, the floor is yours.
Mr. Speaker, esteemed judges, members of the opposition, viewers worldwide. Good morning. I greet you all in the name of a sustainable environment. I am Javon Sampson, and I was graced with the opportunity of being the final speaker of my team, with our moot being environmental education is necessary in schools. Before I get into telling you why my team and I strongly believe it is necessary, I must give a reminder of the term environmental education. Now, according to Wikipedia, environmental education refers to organized efforts to teach how natural environments function and particularly how human beings can manage behaviors in ecosystems to live sustainably. Now let me get into telling you why my team and I wholeheartedly believe that environmental education is necessary in schools. Environmental education has a lot of benefits, and according to my research, it enhances critical thinking, it supports tolerance and understanding. It also strengthens a community and gives the youth an opportunity to be more active in the environment. In our society today, there's a lack of respect for the environment as it relates to littering, which can cause flooding and a series of illnesses which will cause our government billions of dollars to rectify. With environmental education being taught in schools, youths and adults will learn how to more respect the environment and our eco and aqua systems. Mr. Speaker, it then becomes necessary in schools. The EPA has already taken steps to introduce environmental education in schools, according to an article made by the Guyana Times newspaper dated October 21st, 2018, entitled Environmental Education. It states, and I quote, "Children are the most vulnerable groups to the adverse effect of climate change and changes in the natural environment. It is especially important that children are aware of climate change and other environmental concerns on how they can be affected and what they can do." In addition to this, a total of 35 teachers benefited from a workshop which would enable them to infuse environmental education in various subject areas. Mr. Speaker, even the EPA sees the needs for environmental education in schools. Currently, environmental education is already a part of our education system. It is being broken down into many subject areas, such as environmental science. Now, environmental education is also being taught at secondary level, which includes sixth form, and is also being taught in tertiary level at the university. Environmental education integrates physics, biology, zoology, oceanography, geography. These areas give opportunities to youths for better jobs. They can become environmental engineers, land surveyors, geologists, just to mention a few. Before I go further, I must give a brief reminder of our former president and current vice president, Dr. Bart Jagdeo, who currently holds the award for the Champion of the Earth, according to an article made by the Chronicle newspaper on April 2010, the 23rd. Dr. Jagdeo would have proved to us that preserving and protecting our environment has its benefits, and though we may not always be rewarded physically, we will be rewarded spiritually and mentally. According to the good book in Genesis 2:15 states, "Treat the earth as though your life depends on it." Mr. Speaker, even the Bible sees a need for environmental education. Honorable judges, Mr. Speaker, members of the opposition, viewers worldwide, let us all join forces in sustaining the environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sampson, the third speaker of CAS Talent Management Youth Group. And now for the final speaker this morning and the third speaker of the opposition, Ms. Triana Anderson from the West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group. Triana, at 10:40, the floor is yours.
Respected judges, opponents, and the public, good morning. I'll continue to reinforce my team's argument on why environmental education is not necessary in school. Mr. Speaker, we have concluded on the team that yes, environmental education may be valuable, but is not necessary to be taught in school. In fact, environmental education is a general issue which requires simple problem-solving skills. Mr. Speaker, as part of our natural ego, we were all given a sixth sense, common sense, which helps man to deal with nature and the problems thereof. I am confident that they will be able to distinguish the problem outside of the educational context. Environmental education is linked to daily life, which is already active in our daily aura. Proposition, I'm sure that you are aware that environmental education is already being taught indirectly in schools, mainly in the 4 core subjects, which was mentioned by my second speaker, notably science. Mr. Speaker, do you believe that it is sensible to introduce a whole new field when it is already being taught in integrated sciences, which is mandatory from 1st to 3rd form, biology, and so on? From prep through grade 6, it is taught as general science through primary and nursery schools. Introducing it as a whole new field will render the process obsolete, resulting in a waste of resources, time, and energy. Mr. Speaker, home is the first foundation for learning. According to Parents Zone, a good home learning environment encourages children and young people to have a positive attitude towards life and its surroundings, hence maintaining a healthy environment. Environmental education should not be limited to school, but rather can be reinforced in the home. This will help them to build the knowledge and skills necessary to address any complex environmental issues at other functional places. Hence, whatever practices are instilled within us at home will be reflected at other formal settings. The proposition wants to mislead us with their argument. Their arguments are meritless and seeks to create a false stance to mislead the audience. Mr. Speaker, environmental education is primarily concerned with learning to comprehend one's environment. This is also represented in religious meetings, non-government and government organizations, camps, scout groups, and many other places. Judges, teaching outside of school is more cost-effective since more resources are accessible to create an impact in schools than in schools. Teaching environmental education is not compulsory to be on the curriculum. The curriculum is already hefty, and there's a lot of work to complete as it relates to CXC, common entrance, and the national grade 9 exams. You shouldn't pressure students as some are already pressured with practicals and tests. We can't even enjoy a full hour of PE, and we want to give precedence to environmental education? You have heard the testimony from Ms. Burnett, Bill Gates, Michael Reagan, and Salem about the performance of the students. What more do you want to hear? Environment education needs to be a personal activity and a shared perspective outside of the school. Thank you. Our argument is now solidified.
That was the final speaker today in the opening round of this quarterfinal debate of the National Speakers Youth Debating Competition. We just heard from Ms. Triana Anderson of the West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group. We will now take a 5-minute break to give the competing groups an opportunity to prepare their rebuttals. And at this time, let me call on Mr. Yannick December, our Public Relations Officer, to tell us about the rules of this debating competition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The rules of the competition are as follows. Each team must consist of only 3 members, all from the same youth group. Failure to comply will result in the disqualification of the team. Once a team has started the competition, no member shall be replaced. The first speaker will be the first speaker of the proposition, followed by the first speaker of the opposition, and shall alternate in this order. The time allotted for each speaker are as follows. First speaker, 5 minutes. Second speaker, 4 minutes. Third speaker, 4 minutes. And for the rebuttal, 5 minutes. The rebuttal will be done by the first speaker on each team, in the order of opposing, then proposing. No new arguments or material shall be introduced into the rebuttal. 10 points will be deducted for introduction of new arguments. A bell will be rung first to indicate that the speaker should commence. The second bell will indicate that 1 minute is remaining, and there will be a final bell when the time has elapsed. 5 points will be deducted from each speaker who does not adhere to the allotted time. In the event of technical difficulties, a speaker may be allotted additional time. This is at the discretion of the judges. Speakers may refer to notes but should not read them. 5 points will be deducted from any speaker who reads a prepared speech. Points will be awarded for reasoning and logic, originality, relevance, mechanics, articulation, attitude to opponent, development of argument, and cohesion. And finally, the judges' decisions are final. Those are your rules for this year's Speakers National Youth Debating Competition. Best of luck to our participants. Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Yannick. And there you have the rules of the competition by our Public Relations Officer, Mr. Yannick December. Yes, we have a few minutes more to go before we call on the two groups to present their rebuttals. As we wait on them to summarize, and for another 2 minutes to elapse, we have been joined virtually by a number of persons from all over the world, as Nkosi said. We have Karina, she says, representing my youths from Region 3, so you have one person hailing out Region 3. Velisis says, I've been waiting for this. All the best to both teams. Gail, excellent presentations. She says both teams have had great eye contact, style, tone, and body language. And Desmond, he has a favorite already, but he says the competition is getting better. So here we have some of the comments from our online viewers this morning as we commence round 2 of 2022's National Speakers Youth Debating Competition. 16 groups started the competition. This morning's debate will eliminate one of the second round 8 contestants, and we have had the Cash Talent Management Youth Group from Georgetown and the Young Achievers of the West Bank going at it. Their mood, environmental education should be taught in schools. Our teams ready for the rebuttals? Yes. Our timekeeper says yes. And now I have the honor of calling the first speaker from the proposition, the West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group, Mr. Denzel Hill, to present. Sorry, Denzel is from the opposition. The opposition starts a rebuttal. The proposition ends the debate. So we have the rebuttal from the opposition, Mr. Denzel Hill, the West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group. Denzel is in place. He's shaking off the tension. And now, Denzel, you have the floor.
One of the first conditions of happiness is that the link between man and nature shall not be broken. Leo Tolstoy. Distinguished judges, I rise once more to refute the preposition's falsehoods, mirrorless and hypocritical points in their respective arguments that environmental education is necessary in schools. Mr. Chair, one of the most significant aspects of human existence is the environment and its discipline. We have learned a lot from being a part of the problem. The opposition is adamant that although environmental education is important, it is not necessary in schools. Judges, the preposition's argument is ineffective because they would have attempted to confine environmental education to the school setting and also tried to make it necessary. Environmental responsibility and the discipline, like respect for the law, let me just quote what I said, are generally recognized as a collective and nonpartisan principle and should encourage all to advance its cause outside of the public education, according to Michael Regan, the US EPA director. Their arguments are hypocritical and it should be dismissed immediately. Mr. Speaker, every person has the duty to the environment, a duty to protect it. It is not the responsibility of the school to teach us that. Just like manners and simple etiquette. In my presentation, I would have noted that Salem stated that students should be encouraged to handle environmental concerns at the community level, and that teaching it in schools will result in slower actions to address environmental damages. Is that what we really want? Judges, progressive actions must be taken, and the honorable proposition does not see the cause in advancing it outside of the schools. Mr. Speaker, when the preposition second speaker stated that environmental education promotes academic achievement, we felt that the proposition argument was on cloud nine, and they were not paying attention to my second speaker's case. Can the preposition demonstrate this, really demonstrate this? We have submitted CXC stats that proves their arguments to be misleading. Mr. Speaker, the claim is without merit and must reflect on the record that no homework was completed by the preposition. Come on, man. The argument needs to go at the back of the class. Their second speaker would have also noted that obesity, ADH, which are all mental conditions, are linked to the environment. Can they actually prove that? There are no results in their arguments that saying that is linked. There is no scientific data that's saying this is linked to the environment. Are they trying to say that the environment causes this? Man, come on. Their third speaker also noted that having environmental education in other fields environmental education is in other fields in science. Why would they want to introduce it into the school as a discipline? Let me remind you what Ms. Barnett said. It is expensive to have it in the school. It's already there. Introducing it as another discipline, it's waste we like waste. It is very expensive and it should not be there. Critical thinking is already in our system. It is introduced in our 4 core areas. Why would we want to bring another discipline that does the same thing that is already being taught in the system? And lastly, judges, we must thank the preposition for their contribution in this debate. But as of now, their arguments are null and void and without merit, and it should not be entertained for discussion. I rest my case.
Thank you very much. That was Denzel St. Hill with the rebuttal from the opposition, West Bank Young Achievers Youth Group, and now the rebuttal from the proposition, Cash Talent Management Youth Group. I now call on Mr. Osei Clark to present his rebuttal. Jose makes his way to the dais to present his case. Mr. Clark, you're on the floor.
Honorable judges, Mr. Speaker, members of the opposition, members of my team, I greet you all again. I stand before you here to present our team's rebuttal on today's moot. Okay? So, firstly, I would like to explain that the first speaker on the opposition's team was very holding up of the specific point that we are trying to say that environmental education will lead to much more educated decisions. We never said that. What we clearly said, or what we clearly explained, was living in a country like Guyana that is driven by the environment, a country that our economy is boosted by the environment. Environmental education will cause us to rise even higher because we will learn how to sustain these resources even better. They also said that this is something that will be difficult for students and it will also cause them to slow down and all that. When Mr. Jovan Sampson clearly stated that it is already being taught in schools by integrated science and many other subject areas. Are they slowing down right now? No. As I move on, their second speaker, yes, he was speaking about we are trying to say that this is the only way we can move forward and stuff like that. Just like his first speaker, and like I said before, we were never saying this is the only way. We were saying this is the best way, because in this country, Guyana, our economy, our environment is what boosts the economy. Our resources, the gold, the diamond, the oil, the water, the timber, everything boosts the economy is concerning our environment. He also argued that science is there in schools and we are already learning science in school. Thank you for also solidifying what my partner Javon Sampson said, because he was also saying that we are already being exposed to environmental science through science and other streams. So it's already there, okay? So by saying that it is not necessary, still on the second speaker, you're trying to tell me that land and surveyors, all right, geologists, environmental lawyers, they are not necessary. You're trying to tell us that because this is not necessary, these persons are not necessary as well. No. The third speaker was talking about simple problem-solving skills, and simple problem-solving skills can help us with this. Can simple problem-solving skills teach you how to manage your country's resources? No, simple problem-solving skills cannot teach you that. But you know what can? Environmental education. It goes in depth and it teaches you everything in the fine print. In order to manage the gold, you have to do this. In order to get to the oil, because you know, oil is the biggest thing in Guyana right now. Black gold, everyone's talking about black gold. Okay? In order to manage the oil, simple problem-solving skills can't put you on the oil rig. Come on. Our next point she was trying to exclaim is that this is a whole new field. Why introduce the schools a whole new field? Back to what my partners were saying again and again and again. It is already introduced in the schools. It is necessary. All right? It is necessary. And note, something is necessary. It means it's something that has to be done. It has to be done because we want the next generation to know where this country is heading. Now imagine, we in this generation working in Thailand, you know, we laboring, we do the oil good, we do the gold, we set up a country perfect. And the next generation come up, that they know nothing. Nothing about anything. The economy will drop, everything will go down. Now imagine, no agriculture science. Nobody in dealing with agriculture. Okay? No rice. Chinese people like rice. No rice because nobody want to deal with environmental studies. We want rice. All right? No sugar. Imagine no Demerara gold. Come on, guys. Come on. In their rebuttal, he was saying that, oh my goodness. Yes. Like I was saying, in the rebuttal, he was stating that it can be taught outside of schools and all of that. What I am saying all the time is that pollution and stuff, I learned about that in school already. We didn't have to go outside here. We didn't have to study now about pollution and all that. I learned in primary school, Salomaris, with Teacher Sherry. Now, before I rest my case, I would like to tell you environmental education is necessary. Thank you.
There you have it. All of the presentations this morning in the first debate of the second round of the 2022 National Youth Debating Competition. The two groups, CAS Talent Management Youth Group from this side of the Demerara River and the Young Achievers Youth Group from the other side, the west bank of Demerara. And the mood today, environmental education. Environmental education should be taught in schools. Our judges are now going to be busy tallying their scores so that we can have a result in as short a time span as possible, but everyone will agree with me that here we are off to another exciting start of round 2 of the 2022 National Youth Debating Competition. And we've had some excellent responses so far from our viewers online. We have Dr. Tamishwar Bhudu, who says this is an excellent opportunity exposing our young people to good arguments. And Jamar Crandons enjoyed the debate and wishes both teams well, while he says there can only be one winner. And I do agree with Jamar that it has been a great presentation by the two groups. Remind you of our judges for this debate, and these judges are Mr. Rion Miller, who is a former youth parliamentarian, and Rion was the best debater in our 2018 Youth Parliament. He was also the senior counsel of the winning team at the Caribbean Court of Justice International Law Mooting Competition in 2019. Rian holds a Bachelor of Law degree and is a second-year law student at Hewitting Law School. Rian is also a member of the Caribbean Airlines Parkside Steel Orchestra and founder of creative director of Panjaz. And we had 2 evenings ago a sample of the talent of young Rion Miller. Another judge is Miss Melissa Dow Richardson, who is our Assistant Director of Sport at the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sport. She holds degrees from the University of Guyana, the University of the West Indies, the American University of Peace Studies, and the Caribbean Leadership Program. Melissa Dow Richardson, Judge Richardson, also is an accomplished athlete representing Guyana in table tennis and basketball. Our Chief Judge today is Dr. Valerie Gurasamy Smith, who has been an educator for over 3 decades, guest debated twice at the Interfaculty Debating Competition at UG, and herself has been a coach, and she also speaks and tutor persons in the art of public speaking. These are our 3 judges this morning. There you have them all consulting with each other, tabulating, and coming down to the winner for this morning. I see the judges are now relaxed. Are our judges ready for the decision? Not as yet, they need another 2 minutes. But to say that the competition has been intense, has been close, and has been exciting, not only for us here in the chambers, but also for those who have been supporting their groups and also watching online from everywhere around the globe. Mr. Edwards says online says it's a hot debate. Yes, it was a very hot debate. And the competition so far, as I said, very competitive, keenly competitive. We had one debate that was decided by 0.1 of a point. The winning group got 0.1 marks more than the other group. And that is very close. It could be as close as someone in their presentation jumping between proposition, preposition, mispronouncing your grammar not being good, subject and verb. And that's how keen our judges have been paying attention to the presentations. Also our viewers. But it's not the job of the speaker to decide. He can make general observations, but our judges are tallying a second time. So clearly, this is another very, very close, as people will say, extremely close debate. Chief Judge is looking back at the sheet. This is almost like Santa Claus checking it twice, ensuring that you are nice. This afternoon, we'll have the second debate. I want to apologize to the teams this afternoon. I wouldn't be able to moderate that program because of a conflicting engagement, an urgent one. But we will continue, and hopefully in a matter of 3 weeks, by the end of May, we are going to have the finals right here in the chambers, at the National Convention Center. The staff is saying to me, will be the finals. But 2022 has been no different. We're looking to broaden the competition in 2023. So instead of selecting 16 youth groups to start with, there will be youth groups identified in every region of Guyana. And the winners, the best performers from those 10 regions, Georgetown is going to be different because according to our administration of education, Georgetown is region 11. So we have been using that structure, which will put us Georgetown separate from region 4. And so we'll have debates within these educational administrative districts, and then we'll have teams advancing to the round of 16, then the round of 8, then the semifinals. The Chief Judge says they are ready. So let me call on Judge Miller to make some comments. Judge Miller?
Good morning, everyone. First off, I'd like to congratulate both teams to making it this far. Your arguments were well done and well presented. This debate was definitely very energetic, and it took me back to when I was debating in here in 2018. Some comments that I've noted. There were some issues in both sides with development of points. I'd like to urge both teams, whoever goes forward, to tell us what you're going to say and then tell us why you're saying it. Don't just tell us what you're going to say and then move on. When you make your assertion, you need to back it up with authority. You need to develop the point that you're making so that it comes across to us. Because if you don't do that, then we won't be able to give you the points for it. Authority. I noted the use of authority by both sides, but I was looking for more credible authority. Statistics on perhaps issues important to environmental education like climate change and pollution. I didn't find a lot of reference to that inside of the debate. Tone. Both sides. Sometimes there was a monotone throughout. Sometimes persons were shouting throughout. Speakers are advised that whoever goes forward, it's very important in what you're saying, you say it how you want to say it. As in, sometimes your points don't come across if you say something a particular way. Sometimes it misses the speaker, sometimes it misses the judges. So it all depends on how you say what you're going to say. Some points you need to put emphasis on if it's really the homegoing points, and other points you need to maintain a monotone. There were some issues with articulations, but that was minor. I've noted that this argument was particularly difficult for the opposition, but they held their own with use of the false dilemma technique, so I thought that was good. And there were some issues with clarity, and that goes back to what you're saying and how you want to say it in developing your points. But overall, I thought that the presentations were good, and I'd like to congratulate both teams, and congratulations to the team that goes forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Miller. And now for some comments from Judge Melissa Dow Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning to you, fellow judges. Good morning to the debating teams, to everyone here at Parliament Office, and to everyone tuned in online. A very relevant moot we had this morning, and would like to just make a few points in terms of strengths and weaknesses of both teams. And we'll start with the weaknesses. Preparation is important, and there was some evidence of lack of preparation on both sides. The fact that some debaters were reading almost their entire presentation says that you didn't really spend as much time with the material as you should have. When you spend more time with the material in preparation, you're able to fluently express yourself and articulate and go to thoughts and get back to your notes and so forth. So I want to urge everyone to prepare. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail. We had some pronunciation problems, so articulate, you're debating, you're expressing yourself verbally, so spend time with your words, do your reading, get in front of the mirror, express yourself, articulate so that it doesn't come out jumbled when you get to the podium. We also had, I want to caution against making assumptions. Ground your points and your arguments in logical, relevant explanations. And this goes back to preparation. When you make the assumption, it says, people may not agree with you. So avoid making assumptions. And there was an absence of the use of certain key terms when we talk about the environment. The word pollution came into the debate quite late in the presentation. That is a very important term. Climate change, only when we referenced Vice President. Global warming, I don't believe that term was expressed at all by either team. So we want to zone into our key terms. But in terms of the strengths, we can see passion. Passion was expressed by both teams, some more than others. There was quite a bit of research that was done, both local sources and international sources. So those are good references. I want to commend that. And lastly, I really appreciate the use of eye contact this morning. Our debaters engaged with everyone. They engaged with Mr. Speaker, with the judging panel, with members within the House, and certainly with the screen. So that is a very good point. I commend all 6 debaters for the eye contact that was used this morning. And to both teams, well done. Congratulations to you both, and may the best team win. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Judge Dow Richardson, and now Chief Judge, Ms. Valerie Gurusamy-Smith.
Mr. Speaker, fellow judges, debating teams, parliamentarians representative here, and all those who are viewing this very, very important topic that was being debated today. I came to this debate to hear so much more about environmental education, based on the fact that there is not a newscast that you listen to where something is not mentioned about the environment, not on a local level, on an international level. So you come hoping to hear, first of all, climate change, global warming, pollution at all levels. And then you expect the teams to push with, I think the limitation in handling the topic came where you limit the discussion to a curriculum, a school's curriculum. But the topic did not specify curriculum. I look forward to hear about green teams, about environmental clubs, where teams were talking about not enough money and not enough the budget and not enough time on the curriculum, 8 periods a day. We have green teams in so many of our schools. So I was expecting to hear existing state of the schools in our country. I think one team made it very specific to emphasize Guyana, land of many waters, but land with many, many environmental clubs. And we didn't hear that. So even though with the time given, you made the attempt to exhaust the topic, yet there were so many other areas that we found wanting. Nevertheless, both teams rose to the occasion. I have to talk about the referencing as well. If you're going to talk about subjects that are already taking care of environmental education, you have to be careful with subjects you're choosing. So at one point in time, I really thought that the argument was leading up to such a state of irrelevance. However, another team underpinned it with subjects that are relevant, that even though you want to consider environmental education, you can consider these subjects that have probably a subset of environmental issues being addressed. So we had to deal with what were presented to us quite passionately, of course, like my fellow just said. You had this team. I expected, I've listened to both teams before, so I expected some more steam, some more depth, some more enthusiasm, because you're going for the next round, you know, you want to be a winner. So the other thing I do not hear very much is a repetition of the topic in the line of your discussion, where you have to, and therefore, so you hear it, so by the time you're through with the debate, you're remembering this topic. So other than hearing it at the beginning and hearing it at the end, so I believe that debating skills and persuasive techniques were not adequately used. Saying all of that, and like, I couldn't help hearing pronunciations and the reading level. Sometimes it started out, but then I believe speakers who prepare were able to present with eye contact. I want to say to both teams, you have potential, so much potential. I'm hearing it, I'm sensing it, but I believe, like everything else, if you don't put in, you would not be able to have the output. Nevertheless, we were able to come to a conclusion with the both teams based on your presentation. Some of our speakers who knew their stuff really went well with it from start to finish. And in recognizing, based on all the comments, recognizing the best speaker today, we could not help but once again, I believe it's once again, choose this young lady, Miss Crystal Wills, as our best speaker today. She was prepared. She was prepared. The scores today for the two teams went 254.6. One team has, and the other team 292.7. I must make the comment that on occasions the judges, sometimes the report is a little bit far from each other. But today, all the judges were like a point difference or a point something different. It gave me a very good feeling for the team I'm working with. So today I want to congratulate the winning team, which is no other than the proposition. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Great, and congratulations.
And one more thing, I want to mention that the better rebuttal, which we don't recognize, but I want to mention it, went to the proposition as well.
Thank you very much, judges, and congratulations to both teams. When I was reading out the online comment, Desmond had said competition is getting better. I applaud you all, but Crystal. So Crystal did nail it early on in terms of our one online viewer. Congratulations, our West Bank Young Achievers. We're going to see you, I'm sure, again in the next competition, and we look forward to the keen contest as CAST Talent Management proceeds to the next round of our competition. Thank you all. Thank you to the staff, our judges, and our participants. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you.